Still on matters budget, with an allocation of 310 billion shillings, which is about 8.6% of the 3.6 trillion shilling budget for the financial year 2023-2024, the roads and transport sector remain among the priority areas for the government, coming at a time when the government is puzzled over how to complete the multi-billion shillings worth of stalled projects it inherited from the previous administration. Safina Cheng Omar breaks down the final budget estimates that will also see a whooping 65.2 billion shillings go towards the agricultural sector amidst a spirited campaign by the government to make the country food secure.
The high food prices were in fact a major issue during the campaigns for the last general election. During the unveiling of his manifesto, President William Ruto, then a deputy president, said that the real solution to the high cost of living is dealing with the cost of food, and he promised heavy investment in agriculture if he succeeds in his bid to State House.
There is a paradox. Farmers, on one hand, looking for higher incomes for themselves, and consumers, on the other hand, looking for cheaper products. That's a contradiction. How do you sort out that paradox? Agriculture has the potential to sort it out for us.
And in his debut budget, it is estimated that 65.2 billion will be spent by the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, out of which 18.8 billion is expected to be spent on livestock resource management. Out of the 46.4 billion spared for the State Department for Crop Development, 31.6 billion will be spent on crop development and management, 1.6 billion on agribusiness, and 5.8 billion on agricultural research. And to further address the food crisis in the country, the government has invested billions for irrigation projects. According to the 2023-2024 final budget estimates, the State Department for Irrigation, which is under the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, will receive 24.7 billion shillings. 20.5 billion will be spent on irrigation and land reclamation, 2 billion for water storage and flood control, and 1.9 billion for water harvesting and storage for irrigation, a move that will boost the government's plan to increase the acreage under irrigation from the current 670,000 to 3 million acres. The Ministry of Roads and Transport is set to receive about 310 billion shillings, with a lion's share of about 249.7 billion to be gobbled up by the State Department for Roads, while the remaining 60.3 billion shillings has been allocated for the State Department for Transport. Rail transport will receive 39.3 billion, marine transport 3.5 billion, air transport 10 billion shillings, and 4.4 billion shillings will be spent on managing road safety. According to the budget policy statement by Treasury, one of the criteria that guided the allocation of resources within the three arms of government and among ministries, departments and agencies was the extent to which the program seeks to address viable stalled projects and verified pending bills. The Kenya Kwanza government has been at pains on how to proceed with the hundreds of stalled projects by its predecessors, which have gobbled up trillions of shillings and still need billions to complete. While appearing before Parliament about a month ago, Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen said that as of February 28, 2023, there were over 800 incomplete projects requiring about 763 billion shillings to complete. The projects include numerous roads, bridges and dams, and billions owed as spending bills. According to CS Murkomen, the government hopes to unlock the completion of the projects through a strategy that entails suspending all new projects except those touching on critical areas. Other key beneficiaries include the State Department for Housing and Urban Development, which is set to receive 29.7 billion shillings, which is an increase of 3.1 billion from the initial estimates. Another massive resource allocation out of the 3.6 trillion budget is 62.9 billion shillings, which will go to the State Department for Energy to fund power generation, transmission and distribution. 3.7 billion has been allocated for the State Department for Petroleum to be spent on exploration and distribution of oil and gas. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Professor Njuguna Ndung'u is expected to present the budget in Parliament this Thursday. Safin Acheng Omar, Citizen